His voice is instantly recognizable. Lou Rawls is here, and he has had over 70 albums to his credit, 13 Grammy nominations, 3 Grammy Awards, and has shared the stage with the Beatles and worked with Sam Cooke, who was a former high school classmate and musical colleague. Lou's music crosses the boundaries of gospel, blues, jazz, soul, and pop, and his record sales have proven that the public approved of any musical direction he has taken. In the 50s, Lou left Chicago for Los Angeles and joined the Chosen Gospel Singers, whom he first recorded with, following that with the Pilgrim Travelers, and again, joining his friend, Sam Cooke.
They call it Stormy Monday, but Tuesday's just as bad.
After issuing his debut album with the Les McCann Limited on Capitol Records, I'd Rather Drink Muddy Water in '62, later it became Stormy Monday. '63's Tobacco Road followed.
In the middle of Tobacco Road.
Love Is a Hurtin' Thing came 3 years later and gave him a #1 hit on the R&B chart, while 1967's Dead End Street won Rawls a Grammy Award.
I know I'm on a dead end street in a city without a heart.
The 70s began with Lou winning the Downbeat magazine poll for favorite male vocalist and another Grammy for the tune Natural Man. He joined up with Gamble and Huff's Philadelphia International in the mid-70s, and with their famous Philly sound, produced the hit single You'll Never Find.
You'll never find as long as you live.
Unmistakably, Lou won him his third Grammy in '76, and then came the classic Lady Love.
Lady Love, your love is peaceful like a summer's breeze.
When you hear Lou, you've heard it all, and Let Me Be Good to You, also in their earlier Groovy People.
Groovy people, we like to be around groovy people.
Lou's voice has made him the spokesman for Anheuser-Busch, the singing voice of Garfield the Cat, which won him a Grammy nomination for Here Comes Garfield. He sang the title song for the Jungle Cubs, was a voice of one of the Rugrats in Rugrats the movie, and the postman on Nickelodeon's Hey Arnold. By 1989, he was back at the #1 position on the Billboard Jazz chart with the album At Last.
At last, my love has come along.
TV and movie appearances, Broadway and musical theater runs, a Trumpet Award, and International Entertainment Buyers Association Award, both for humanitarian and lifetime achievement, speaks to the accomplishments of the man and the voice, and I am pleased to have with me Lou Rawls, and welcome, sir.
How do you do? Welcome to the Litch and Lou Show.
The Litch and Lou Show. I am liking that.
Yeah.
When I say the name Lou Rawls, what do you think the perception of you is?
Well, I hope that it's a good perception. I think people are kind of comfortable with me as far as, you know, what I've tried to, I guess you could say, to give, and trying to give back to the people that have put me where I am today. And, you know, I say a funny thing, I was downstairs not long ago and I was talking to some people, and this lady turned around and said, I knew that was you. I said, what? No, I got to tell you a good one. After we got through last night with the show, we went to see Neil Diamond. So after we got through with Neil, they said, you know, there's a Walmart around. We said, what? A Walmart? So we went to Walmart. We did, yeah. I mean, every time anywhere I go and there's a Walmart, I go. I don't buy nothing. I just go in and get a Walmart fix. You know?
Doing the tour of all the Walmarts across the country.
It's great, man. You go in because they got everything in there. And like I said, you don't buy nothing. You just go in there and just walk around. It feels good, you know.
I just think that perception of you is, you know, cool, smooth, you know, class,
well, that's what I try to present that. I was fortunate enough to have worked with the great Duke Ellington, and I knew Billy Eckstine, because Billy Eckstine, Nat Cole, and Joe Williams, and Arthur Prysock was a name people don't really remember. They were like our, I guess you could say, our mentors, or we aspired, you know, to be like them because they were class.
They led the way.
Yes, they did. They I guess you could say they laid the path for us because, you know, when we would go to the Regal in Chicago where they had live stage shows, we'd see these guys and they'd be sharp, man, you know. And And of course, the women would just, give it up.
Melt.
And we said, yeah, buddy, that's what's happening. So after having the opportunity to meet and actually work with these people, I've, picked up a lot of not ideas, I picked up a lot of, informative things to do. And one of the things was one of the most important things I think that I found out, and they all said this. They said, you know why they call it show business? I said, what? They said, because when you walk out on stage, the first thing they see, that's the impression that they get. Now, if you walk out there with jeans and T-shirts on, that's how they're going to receive you or perceive you. But if you go out there
looking clean
and you look sharp and clean, then that is almost 50% of your performance. So that's what I try to do today.
Nice.
And I try to instill that into some of the younger people coming along in the business today. And they say, oh man, the people ain't coming to see what I look like, they're coming to hear my music. I said, wrong. They want to see you looking different. They don't want to see somebody up on stage that looks worse than somebody they sit next to. That's, I think, and that's the attitude you should approach it with.
When you mention names like Billy Eckstine, Joe Williams, maybe Johnny Hartman.
Yeah.
What or who was the singer that made you fall in love with singing, though? Let's go back even further.
Well, actually, it started, I guess, when I was a kid singing in the junior choir. There were like a guy named Robert Anderson who was a big male vocalist in the gospel field. And then we had the what we call the adult quartets with like the Soul Stirrers, Dixie Hummingbirds, Swan Silvertones, and these guys, man, we talk about voices. Oh, man. And so, as kids, we had me and Sam, we had our little teenage quartet, and we were going to try to be like them. We would go to the West Side every Mother's Day. They would have this big gospel concert in Chicago. So we had gotten a little popular around the city, so they would have us opening the show, So we would go to the West Side on Chicago and we'd get our uniforms, right? You gotta check this out. We all, same suit, same shoes and all that, okay? Now, God forbid it would rain that day because all of a sudden the suits became miniature and the shoes, they could hear you coming, But I mean, hey, look, we were all dressed alike, so that was cool. But I guess, I was I'm more impressed, I guess, with the gospel singing, because that's what my life was at the time.
So those are the singers that made you fall in love with singing?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it was like, just watching the reaction of the audience, how they would respond to these people. And, of course, being in the choir and coming up with a religious family. My grandmother raised me, and I went to church every Sunday or else. Well, I didn't want to find out what else was, so I went to church, And so when one Sunday the minister got up and said, well, I'm going to let these children go because they're the junior choir. He said, I'm going to let them go because I don't want them up here fidgeting around while I'm trying to deliver my sermon. I said, that's it. That's it. That's the way out. Because I was sitting between my grandmother and some of her friends, and when they'd start reacting to the minister, and I'm ducking and dodging, and she'd hit me upside down and tell me to sit still, How am I going to do that, right? But that was I guess you could say, the first real impression I got as far as the music was concerned and being a singer.
And who taught you the most about singing? Early on.
Well, we had a choir director named Bob West. They had a group called the West Singers, him and his three sisters. And he was, I guess you could say, like a vocal coach, because he was the choir, the director. And I guess that's how I wound up being a baritone. They put me in the baritone section, which was cool. And so he, and then they would, on Monday nights, we'd have rehearsal, and then he would take a couple of us off to the side and work with us, as far as our phrasing and breathing and all that. But one thing he did tell us, he said, now, don't take this per se, what I'm telling you, what I'm trying to show you. He said, you take the root of it, and then you build on that. In other words, don't try to, imitate him or anybody else for that matter, but just take the I guess the nucleus of it,
Right.
and build your own thing.
Because he
which
didn't
is
want to turn out
Right.
little singers like himself.
Right.
He wanted you to take influences,
Exactly.
but build your own personality
Exactly.
and your own style from
That's
that.
it.
As you pursued this career in singing and this life, what did you want to get out of it? Prior to 62, prior to hooking up with the Les McCann?
Well,
band?
actually, that's a funny thing. I never really thought about what I was going to get out of it. It was just the fun of doing it, you know?
Yeah.
It was just being a part of it.
The love of it.
That was it.
The passion.
And today it's still the same.
And so then at that point, what was let me put it this way. What was the guiding passion at the time?
I guess the response and the reaction of the people, you know, because what happened in the junior choir, they picked me out to do a solo, you know, and it was great, man, because the people responded, and they said, the boy's gonna be good. Well, what did that mean? You know,
It's the voice.
See,
It's the voice.
but see, Sam, you got to remember, Sam Cooke was the voice, man. I mean, he had the style and everything. Of course, he was handsome, and of course, the girls, you know, that whole thing. And I never thought of it in terms of being a special thing, a special voice or nothing. I was just doing it and having fun.
Tell me about Sam Cooke as a friend, as a peer, as a colleague. Tell me about him.
He was great. He was great. We went to school together. And I said we formed our first little teenage group together, and he was just a good guy. You know, he was one of those kind of people. Water didn't fall if it rained; it would rain around him. You know, that was his. I mean, he had that kind of personality. The minute he'd walk into a room, you knew he was there. You know, he had that aura about him. I mean, and
Charismatic.
yeah, very
Charisma.
Yeah, very, very much.
And what do you think he'd say about you?
I don't know.
Or what do you surmise?
He'd probably say the same thing, but he wouldn't say I light up a room, though. You know, I turn the lights on when I come in the room. But I guess you could say we were like more or less like brothers, because he had brothers and sisters, but I was the only kid. So they kind of embraced me into the family. As a matter of fact, his brother L.C., who's still there in Chicago, and his sisters, and Charles, his brother, Charles, I think, is in Detroit now, but L.C. and his sisters are still in Chicago. So when I go there, we get together and I talk with him. But then I went on the road. See, the first time I went on the road with him when he was with the Soul Stirrers. That's how I wound up in California. But we were close. We were real close.